Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. I'm going to give you guys a HANTAVIRUS update because this thing is still reaching the media. Now, when I talk about these things, like everything, right? Literally like everything, I think you should just err on the side of caution. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the next pandemic. I don't know enough about biology and chemistry to be able to give you guys some sort of, telling you guys like what they're testing for in those vials and what she's doing in the machines there. What I can do is I can look at the direction of travel. I can connect the dots and I can look at strange media reporting. Now, when I talk about media reporting, if you watch the news and you will notice things that just you will notice phrases that all of a sudden all these news outlets repeat the same phrase. Now I know that how that happens, and I can give you that in a military context. So if you're reporting from a war zone, and this is about hantavirus, right? But I've never reported or been in that vicinity where people are, dealing with, a global pandemic or a virus. But I have been on in lots of locations where there are military operations, wars, bombs, whether that's in the Middle East, whether that's in Eastern Europe, Northern Ireland, all around the world. So I have been there and I have seen that at every angle. I've done it. I've seen this standing there as a uniformed soldier. I've seen this as a part of the press. I've done this as part of being in an NGO. So I understand how these things work. And in a war setting, in a war zone, the reason people come with the same information and give that same information so quickly, and this is, why I guess we started these channels doing conflicts, and I am going to give you guys a Ukraine update after this. You'll, in the morning, right, whatever war zone, right, the press, so your big ones, BBC, Sky News, CNN, CNBC, Fox News, they pretty much all stay in the same hotel, right? Or if they don't stay in the same hotel, they stay like virtually like within proximity to each other, right? In the morning, the military press officer will come round. This is what happens, right? The military press officer will come out and he'll say, yep, we're going to take you to this area and that's where you're going to be reporting from, right? So they all go up there, all the big news outlets, right? And they all just get a different backdrop. They are literally standing within 20 meters of each other, right? And they're all just standing there with a different backdrop. Now, when that's presented on the news, when that's presented on, at like 8 o'clock or whatever, they're doing these, they're doing these little, they're talking and they're in the war zone. Literally just off that camera behind them, there's all the other news anchors and they've all just got a different backdrop, slightly different backdrop, but they're all within proximity. Sometimes someone might get permission to go into another town or something, but normally, especially if you're in, right in a high risk zone, so they've got the helm and they're talking. Now, the way they get their information, they will get their information from the military press attaché. So this will be a guy, military guy. He will come back and say, right, this is the update. And he will tell them the exact line. That's the update. And then they all repeat it. So I understand how these things get pushed out to everyone and everybody's talking on the same thing. However, now we have the same thing with this virus, the hantavirus. So I'm going to give you guys an update on what's been happening now with the hantavirus because it is developing and it is ongoing. I don't know where it's going to go. It seems to me the media has started to lose traction with this hantavirus. However, I'm still seeing the likelihood that this could flare up in Birmingham. So the Public Health Scotland have confirmed today that a small number of people in Scotland have been linked to the Andes virus outbreak from the Andes variant, of the HANTAVIRUS on the Dutch ship MV Hondius. While there are currently no confirmed cases in Scotland, health officials are contacting those exposed, carrying out precautionary testing and sending samples to a high security lab in Glasgow. Now, can you guys remember what I said? If you wanted to fake this, right? And this is, this is literally from the BBC that they're sending it there. If you wanted to fake this, right, this is what you would do. You would say, right, you would send an email to West Streeting, right, or this new guy with his big brain. You would send an email to UK Health Service, NHS, whatever those emails you are, right? Because if you're the World Health Organization, you're going to have all those emails. You send out an email to everyone and you say, right, if anyone presents with these symptoms, or if anybody's even been in contact with these people, and you will set a net, you'll cast a net, right? And you'll say, right, we need to test them, but you need to test them at our laboratories. And I don't know if this is the case, but then those tests go to their laboratories, and guess what? Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? They all come back positive. Obviously, that's how you would fake it, right? And then you have to give them medication, and then everybody else gets worried, and then everybody who's got a cough or a sniffle, they go up and, oh, God, have I got it? Yeah, you've got it as well. So you start to see how you could fake this. Now, I don't think it's the right time of year to fake this. You need to fake that at you would need to fake it when people naturally get ill, so the beginning of winter. So the overall risk to the public still remains low, but this shows just how easily the virus can travel. Now, here's something that should be a little bit, for me, this is more worrying. I've been reporting on this for just over a year, I think. Birmingham has been absolutely crippled by the bin workers' strike. Mountains of rubbish have piled up on the streets. Now, let me caveat this as well. I'm getting from mainstream media that there are places that rubbish is piling up and there are rats. A few of you guys, in fact, have I even got the chat on? Yes. A few of you guys who were saying, who lived in Birmingham, are saying, no, the situation in Birmingham is not that. No, the rubbish is getting collected. However, there are some places that is the case. So I just want to give you guys that context. So binmen strike in Birmingham, basically. Mountains of rubbish have piled up, which has led to reportedly a serious rat infestation. Residents have reported on multiple occasions, multiple times, multiple articles, rats in gardens, kitchens, even children are running off scared from them. The city is effectively a paradise for rodents right now. I would say that, right? Because you're getting all this rubbish built up. You're getting the warm weather coming. Warm weather, rubbish, rats' nests, potentially, within rubbish piles or whatever. And when they come to be, cleared up, the bin men are going to be going out, aren't they, and clearing that up. So I think, I do think we could have a potential there for a large scale outbreak. So hantaviruses are predominantly spread through contact with rodent droppings, urine, wee-wees or poo-poos or saliva. And the and the particular strain that we're dealing with here is especially worrying. Study shows it can remain in the body for up to 6 years and has the potential to be sexually transmitted, right? So I don't even know where I go with this. So now they're saying that this hantavirus, it can stay in your body for 6 years and you can transmit it sexually. So is that like you've got to self-celibate? You've got to self-celibate for 6 years. For some people, I know that's not going to be a problem. Now, if you want to go down conspiracy road here, down conspiracy lane, and call off at tinfoil house, Palantir. You know the system that everybody says is evil. Kind of is, but it is fantastic. So that computer system, Palantir. In fact, you know what, guys? Not even Palantir. What I'm talking about now is very easy. You guys can do this yourself. You can buy. Do you know what? Give me a second. You can buy a point user emulator or a multi-user emulator, various other pieces of software. And what that will do is that will, so you know when you go on X, right? If you're watching on X or whatever. Right, listen, guys, if you are watching on X, I'm going to close you down in a minute. If you've got an X account or a Facebook account or YouTube account or whatever, right, you can search for certain stuff, right? You can. So you can put in your search bar Birmingham, right? And you will get all the links about Birmingham, right? You can search whatever, right? Now, there are computer programs that can do this with AI on an absolute industrial scale. So then what you can do is you can find out who's posting what, where they live. You can find so much information, and then that can all get visualized. So what I would say is maybe, and I don't know if this is the case, obviously, but I would say somebody has looked at a lot of the comments, what people are saying on social media, maybe people are just not buying into this whole hantavirus thing, right? And maybe the people who are looking at saying, yeah, we're never gonna get this hantavirus over the finish line. People are just not having it. So maybe they've said, right, let's shelve it. Let's put that hantavirus on a shelf. Let's just say it can stay in your body for up to 6 years and be transmitted sexually. And then, in a year or something, or next year or whatever, or, there'll be another outbreak and they'll say, oh, remember when the hantavirus came? Oh, yeah, everybody got infected and now it's sexually transmitted. So, the ingredients are there with this hantavirus for a ground zero. With the bin strike reportedly nearing an end, the clear up operation has to begin soon, right? You would expect that. That makes perfect sense, right? Bins, rubbish has built up, so we're going to have to go out and clean it. It shouldn't be controversial to anyone, which means disturbed rubbish, disturbed rats, disturbed rat's nest, disturbed urine, disturbed feces. And that's all going to be picked up by the, by these workers, and it makes sense, right? You guys can see how those data points come together, right? More rats on the move and a heightened chance of human contact with infected drop-ins. That makes perfect sense. At exactly the moment, some potentially exposed people could be returning back into Birmingham or furthermore. Now, this combination, I think it's important because we don't know where these people are going, right? We know that the people have been isolated. I think they've gone home now. So if you guys remember, these first people came back from the ship. They then went to the hospital in Liverpool. They had to stay there for 72 hours, and now they've gone home, right? And they've got self-isolate for 42 days, I think it is. I would speculate that there is at least some of them in Birmingham, right? And 42 days, it looks like this. I think they could start tidying the bins up before 42 days has elapsed. So I am conscious that this could flare up again. And we could have a ground zero for hantavirus in Birmingham. Right, listen, guys, let me jump onto the chat because I've got lots of videos to get on to throw on today. Zippy is saying rat wheat is healthier than UK lager. Oh, I don't think it is. I don't think it is, Zippy. Not my lager, anyway. I've got it was my bottling day yesterday. I think I've done 50 bottles. I need to go and get some more tops. Goodyear is saying Goodyear for UFOs is saying if Hunter was anything, it'd be in New York. You see the size of the rats there. This is one of the, so let's go back to the the landfill site, right? So this all allegedly originated from a landfill site where there was a Dutch couple that tragically, they're dead now, but they went to a landfill site to do some bird watching, right? And okay, I'll go with that, whatever, right? Whatever. Now, the problem with that is why hasn't anyone else, if there is hantavirus and it is rife in that, in that region, why hasn't anyone else in in Argentina? Like, why is it not a panda? Why is it not all over Argentina? Why did it just, I don't know, guys. What does this button do? Is saying the net's supposed to be fun, not to increase all the scattered lefty twonks in the world, ability to start plotting takeovers and revenge civilization. All right, okay. Good question, Sean. Yeah, it's just like, look, guys, and I will be honest, from the get-go, I'm not claiming to be an expert in this. All I'm doing is asking simple questions. Okay, right. So hantavirus is in hantavirus is in Argentina, right? In this landfill site. Okay, right. Why is that whole area not, gone down with it? Why is everybody not dying with it there? Obviously, I don't want that, but it's just a simple questions. How did that get transmitted? What were they doing differently that other people weren't doing? They got took to the landfill site by a tour guide, right? Okay, I'm going to assume that tour guide knows where that place is. Otherwise, he wouldn't go there, right? So if he knew where that place was, then it leaves more questions than answers, really. Dan Rogan says rats everywhere now in Brum. Right, Dan. Are you on? Right, Dan. Are you in Birmingham? Because I talked about this the other day, and some people were saying that Birmingham, there isn't actually that big a rat problem because some places in Birmingham are being cleaned up. But from what I can see on the internet, and again, guys, look, I know I'm limited with that. But what I found is that there are multiple reports that rubbish is building up in Birmingham. People are just throwing their rubbish out on the streets, and these rubbish piles are growing. So I'm trying to get ground truth. It's always good to get ground truth. Oh, hang on a minute. Right, Dan is saying yes, he's in Birmingham. Right, Dan, and so Dan, you're in Birmingham, and you are saying that there are rats everywhere now in Birmingham. Is that what you're saying? Because if that is the case, then that does, to me anyway, look like there could be an outbreak. And Dan is saying, no, I'm seeing a lot now. So with any virus, right, and rats, obviously when you go away, if any of you have ever been aware in a big camp, big camps generate food and waste food, and they obviously generate rats. So it's really important to manage your rubbish. So like in, I don't know, Kandahar, right? In Kandahar in Afghanistan, the Kandahar airfield, the big US rank base on there. I probably lived on there for like maybe 2 years. Yeah, maybe a year and a half. So in Kandahar, they have these huge burns pits, and you have to take your rubbish and you have to burn it, because people are conscious that if you don't dispose of your rubbish and you get that food build up, you will get a rodent infestation. And in the military, people are really on at you for that. So you have to do. It's a really big problem, and it's one of the things you get drilled into you. It's called they're called non-battlefield casualties. So I am really cautious that if you have rubbish build up, you will get rats. And if you leave that rubbish there for a length of time, especially now the weather's getting warmer, those rats will multiply, and they'll multiply like rats. Kemazurbang is saying, in Barley Green, Quinton, and all the white areas, there is no extra rubbish. In Asian areas, it gets bad. I'm in Birmingham. My bins are taken. So, well, look, I mean, I don't know how Birmingham's spread out, but what I will just say is, I think this is gonna, I'm just, is anyone else connecting those dots, guys? Is anyone else connecting those dots? Rat virus, right? On one hand, you've got a rat virus. Can you remember how, and this is what first got me onto this. Can you remember how the media started calling it rat virus? Can you guys remember that? It went from hantavirus to rat virus. And all of a sudden, everybody's recording this as the rat virus. Right, listen, you guys on X, actually, I'm going to turn you guys off, and I will just be streaming on YouTube. So hang on. Right, that's it gone. So, yeah, the media started reporting this as rat virus, right? Now, if you guys have been following me, like I always say, we're in a movie, right? We're in a movie, and imagine the setup for the payoff, right? The example I always give is right at the beginning of Jaws, not the beginning, on the Jaws movie when they get onto the boat. I think it's not Quint. Anyway, he's got an air tank, right? And he knocks it over, and he says something like, "Be careful with those air tanks. It's compressed gas. It will explode," or something like that. So that's your setup, right? That's your setup, and the payoff for that setup is like at the end of the movie, what a fantastic movie, right? At the end of the movie, when Bodhi's on the boat and it's going, it's going down like that, and the shark's got the gas thing. The audience know it's going to explode, right? So I'm just looking at this, and I'm remembering when the media said, right, this is now the rat virus, calling it the rat virus, and now I'm just looking at all these things coming together like a Christopher Nolan movie. With some Hans Zimmer playing in the background, where Birmingham now, bin strike, which is going to lead to rats. Oh, rats in Birmingham. Rats are going to spread the rat virus. Oh, no. And I am just seeing that, guys. I am. Absolutely. Based conspiracy is saying, yes, I can confirm rats in Birmingham the size of cats. Are the rats chasing the cats off now? Is that what's happening? The rats are chasing the cats off. And Dan Rogan is saying housewives with air rifles. Is that what's happening now in Birmingham? You've got housewives sat in the gardens with we've got housewives now sat in Birmingham with air rifles. And Fixed Bayonets is saying, I worked on the London Underground 30-ish years ago, laying new tracks, and the rats down there were the size of Labradors. Labrador puppies. God, that's terrifying. Like, what do you do with them? Right, I'm just going to jump down, guys. Oh, and Dan is saying, so Dan's in Birmingham, and he's saying, the rats have spread across the city. Morrowind is saying, what's going on in Birmingham? Right, listen, guys, let me start to close this down, because I just wanted this to be a short live stream to give you guys an update on what's happening with the hantavirus. I'm going to come back on pretty much straight away, and I'm either going to, I think I'm going to talk about what people are talking about, that there's going to be a famine, and I've got some videos to share with you guys. I've got one. Oh, hang on. I'm probably not going to share them all with you. No, I'm definitely not going to share them all with you. But I've got some videos to share with you guys, because there's been a report written, and this report is now claiming that we are 8 weeks to empty shelves at the supermarkets, and then 60 days, which, similar, to a famine. Now, that's what people are saying. There's been a report written about that, and I'm going to jump on next, and I am going to be talking about that, because I do genuinely see that these things are coming. Now, if we say a famine, if we use the definition of a famine as in 20% of your population is have severe food shortages, then because we all think of a famine, we all think of a famine of people like bones and that's not the definition of a famine. The definition of a famine is something different. But Morrowind is saying, what's going on in Birmingham? And I've been saying in this live stream, guys, I've been giving you guys a hantavirus. I've been giving you guys a hantavirus update. I've been talking about what the latest is. There's a small number of people in Scotland who've been linked to the MV Hondius. They're now saying that the virus can stay in your body for 6 years, and you can transmit that sexually. But most importantly, I'm connecting these dots with the Birmingham bin strike that's coming to an end pretty much. I think it's coming to an end really soon, actually. It should have been ended now, but there was the snap elections. And what's going to happen in that bin strike, when the bin strike's over, is those bins are going to start to get collected, right? And as people are saying on the chat, Birmingham, because of this bin strike, has been hit by, I guess, a rat infestation. Silly is saying 300 people died from flu last year. Something is fishy, and I don't think anyone is really bothered about this virus either than the UK. Yeah, it's so weird how the media are reporting on it. And I'm just connecting these dots, as in, imagine that setup for the payoff, right? Rat virus, rat virus, rat virus, rat virus. Everybody understands rat virus. In the summer, Birmingham, bins are getting emptied, rats are everywhere, bins are getting emptied, rats are everywhere. Oh no, we've got an outbreak in Birmingham. So I'm just connecting those dots, right? It might, it could fizzle into nothing. Dark Ark is saying it's a particular type of rat not found in this country. All right, okay, I didn't realize that. Do you have any more information on that? Terms involved HPS. Right, okay. Oh, so the old green man, are you saying that these were the terms involved in the media? And Brick Girl says, we need the Pied Piper. Yeah, as long as he doesn't get any, as long as not all the children, and as long as he's paying the right tune. What does it say? You pay the piper, you choose the tune. Right, listen, guys, I am going to close this down now. I've got so many videos to put on today. I have. I'm going to come back on in about 5 or 10 minutes. And I'm going to talk about this predicted famine that's on its way. I've got a few videos to share with you guys. I've got some documents to share, and basically what the consensus is now. And I don't know how credible you guys think this is, but they're putting all this together with the fuel shortages and everything that's happening right now. Remember, back in the March or whenever it was. In the United Kingdom, they were predicting that we would have food shortages by summer if the Strait of Hormuz didn't open up. And guess what? It's not opened up. And even if what they're saying now is even if it does open up, it's going to take 8 months to get ready for things to start moving again. And I'm just saying to you guys now, not a chance in diddly dance is it going to take 8 months. It's going to take a lot longer than 8 months to sort things out. So I will be back on almost instantly, guys, with about 5 or 10 minutes. And I'm going to talk about food shortages and famine, because apparently we've got 60 days to a famine. On that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you guys later.